Hi, ladies and gents. Because this week we're talking about verbal communication, I think it's really important that I share with you one of my favorite conceptualization of the power of communication. And so today I'm going to be talking about George Herbert Mead's symbolic interactionism. Now, it's important to note that his ideas, he was a professor, and his ideas were never really he never really published them, but his students combined his ideas, his lectures, their lecture notes specifically, into a book entitled Mind, Self, and Society. So you can imagine that there's probably some issues with how it's been conceptualized, because think about um, your own notes from class lectures. If you combine them with other students' class notes, how well would you actually have documented what the professor has said? And so with that said, let's go ahead and talk about what Mind, Self, and Society was talking about. So it's actually coming out of, I believe, sociology, if I'm not mistaken. George Herbert Mead was a sociologist, if I'm not mistaken. And what the purpose of symbolic interactionism is to look at how language influences identity. And so what it argues is that we reveal how we view ourselves, and others review how they view us through language, through words, through how we communicate. And so let's break this down. We reveal how we feel about ourselves, how we view ourselves, through how we communicate about ourselves. Okay? As we communicate, other people respond by providing feedback, right? And so as they respond, they're revealing verbally how they view us through their language choices. And then that goes, and as we interpret what they're saying, that influences how we view ourselves. And so we may either decide that we are going to continue, if we find that favorable, we're going to continue behaving in the ways that we are, communicating in the ways that we are, because we want to continue how other people view us, or how we think other people view us. If we don't like how other people view us, then we participate in identity management, where we actively influence our communication to change how people view us. Okay. Now, let's put this in some more concrete terms. If a parent communicates to their child that you're worthless, you're a waste of space, that you're a screw up, that child is going to internalize that, and they will either change their behavior to match what's being said. And this is, again, not unconscious. We aren't doing this consciously, and sometimes we are. Or they're going to change their behavior to prove that wrong. So children who hear that these negative things, they're going to go one of two ways. They're either going to be poorly functioning, they're going to become those negative things that they're being described as, or they're going to be the opposite. They're going to be high achieving. They're not really going to come out in the middle ground, right? Now, a child is told, you are the best, you are awesome, you're smart, you are the best at everything, you're so talented. Now, again, they're going to respond in a couple of ways. They're going to view themselves as that, and so they may continue behavior that supports those ideals. But if the parent is the only person telling them that, and the people around them are not telling them that, they hopefully will realize that maybe their parents are puffing them up, and that they do need to change their behavior to make it more like their parents' expectations being described to them. So, to break this down, our words are really impactful because it communicates how we see others and how we see ourselves. And so how we are viewing others literally influences how they see themselves. It influences how they feel about themselves, their self-esteem, and also their identities. So their identities are being influenced as other people communicate with them. And so what we should take away from this is that our words are incredibly powerful for influencing others. They influence how people see themselves, whether or not they see themselves as worth being created, as worth being born, or worth people investing in them, or worth continuing living, or whether or not they're being seen as competent, strong, intelligent people created in God's own likeness, as being image bearers of Christ, like we're called to be, right? Like we were created to be. Our words are so important. Now, that's the mind and the self, and that's capturing how other people see us. But our society also communicates to us through mass communication, through social media, through what we consume, and that also influences our identity. But for the sake of this course, I want to stay focused on how we are influencing each other through the words that we say, the words that we use, how we're responding to others, because that's really the crux of this whole chapter on verbal communication. Our words are powerful. We influence each other through our words. We demonstrate how we view each other through our words. And we're also revealing how we view ourselves through our words. So if you take nothing else out of this, if you don't take out identity management or symbolic interactionism or George Herbert Mead or Bloomer, all I want you to take out is our words are powerful, and we need to be very careful and mindful of how we're communicating to others, because we're influencing how they view themselves and their own self-worth. So that's all I have for you for today on verbal communication. I'm going to post some TED Talks and a few other things. And I hope to see you at tea time / office hours on Friday. Chat soon. Bye-bye.